Hey guys, sorry about a little bit of delay. We had a few of the teams that were just struggling to get access, but it looks like it's all A-okay now. But I'm Katie, I'm part of the partnerships team at Makers, and I'm joined by Hayley, who is our Makers event manager.
Cool, hi everyone. Yeah, we just wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about what we've been doing for the event and kind of why we decided to put this on for you all. Obviously coronavirus has been a really kind of intense and crazy time for everyone, so this was really an opportunity to bring together kind of some of our graduates, some of our hiring partners, just like all kind of members of our community to do something really, really positive in a time that's otherwise pretty stressful. So we challenged our recent graduates to build projects that will help the lives of key workers. That could have been anything from helping them with a task in their jobs. It could be something to support their mental or physical well-being, or to make it easier for them to access information.
So at Makers, we're working to transform the lives of anyone who would like the opportunity to train as a software developer. As you'll see, we'll introduce all of the teams that were involved in the hackathon today, and many of them have used the bootcamp as a stepping stone to move into a career that they love and outside of many different other industries that they've worked in. Through the Makers Bootcamp, we focus on teaching the essential skills that developers need to solve any challenge that they're faced with. Our developers lead their own learning, they're self-sufficient and excel at working in teams, which you'll definitely see from today's presentations. Our Makers, they're passionate, they're curious, and they're creative developers, and they'll showcase that today for you, and I know they're really excited to show you what projects they've been working on. The projects that they have been working on, they've developed these over 2.5 days, and all the developers involved under a year ago didn't know how to code at all. And so after the presentations, we will let you know how you can request more information about the teams or the projects at all, and how you can also work with the participating developers further.
Cool, so let's get started. So our first team are doing a project that was submitted to us by a charity that we've been working with. They requested something that would help the elderly citizens that they're kind of working to look after during this time. Obviously, one of the major problems that we're experiencing during coronavirus is that people aren't able to visit their friends, families, and loved ones, and this is particularly a problem for the elderly within our community. So the project that the teams have built is a way to connect elderly people with the much needed social interaction that they need, and support them in finding volunteers who will socialise with them and keep them company. So team one, if you're ready to present, if you could please turn on your microphones, and if the first one of you could share your screen, please.
Okay, I'm just doing that now. So, screen. Continue. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. So, thank you very much. Hello everyone, welcome to our group volunteer matching. So who's in the team? So we've got a wonderful team, including Lila, Kate, myself, David, Patrick, Stefan, Daria, and Tom. We lost a few on the way, but we're still a strong team. Let's get down to business. So, what was the problem we were trying to solve during Hack for Heroes? In the UK, the number of over 50s experiencing loneliness is set to reach 2 million by 2025. And in a study in 2018, there was 1.2 million chronically lonely people in England alone. With the current public health crisis, many at-risk groups have been and are still self-isolating. Therefore, there are more people than ever experiencing chronic loneliness, and coronavirus has only made this daily challenge more acute. This is a consistent negative pressure that is put on people's mental health, and there is a clear need to bring some closeness and community back into their lives again. So given all of this, we wanted to bring people together and form the community bonds that make life just that much better. With the problem laid out and our goals set, I will hand over to Kate.
Thank you. So a solution to this problem is our application. The project itself is built on a brief that Age UK themselves actually submitted to the hackathon. They wanted someone to build them an application which could help forge new connections between isolated senior members of the community and younger volunteers, which would help fight these symptoms of social isolation. And since this was a cause close to all of our hearts, we gladly accepted this challenge. The brief itself actually contained the following requirements. They wanted an app that would allow seniors and volunteers to match based on mutual interests and hobbies. They wanted it to be similar to a dating app, but optimized for users that might not be quite as tech savvy. And they wanted profiles that would include a name, some details about the person, and what their interests were. We used this brief to start prioritizing our features and make design decisions. So here to talk a little bit more about that is Stefan.
We opted to make our website as straightforward as possible, with little chance to deviate from the features that are available, and decided for a clean and clear design with easy to read colors and fonts. Our primary feature is to match, so we aim to do this as quickly as possible to connect people with each other and leave the rest offline. We chose matching people based on their interests, as it is a great conversation starter for people of all ages. To take you through the demo video, I'll pass you over to Tom.
Thanks, Stefan. Okay, so we'd like to show you a demo and the user experience associated with our app. So we have two key sets of users. We have our volunteers and we have our senior users. So I'm going to take you through the flows for both of these users. And let's start with our senior user. Okay, so first of all, our senior user, he navigates to the page. And the first thing they do is they want to find a volunteer. So they first have to sign up. So they provide their email, their password. And then once this is done, they can sign up. So then we get a few more details about them. So their telephone, so they can be contacted, name, location, so we can match based on how close they are to volunteers, and just a brief description. And then the core of our app is actually matching based on interests. So here they can actually select the interests that they have. And then to make it a bit more personal, they can upload a photograph for their profile as well. And they click upload image, so that gets uploaded. They're then presented with a list of volunteers that have similar interests. And so they can browse through this list, decide who seems most suitable, and they can then click contact, which will then send a notification to the volunteer for them to then get in touch with them. So I'll pass you over to our volunteer, Daria, now. He'll take you through the volunteer flow.
Thank you, Tom. I already have an account as a volunteer, so I only need to log in with my email and my password. And it's gonna take me to a page where I see people who I have matched with. So I can see that lovely Ethel has same interests as me, walking. So I can contact her and we have a nice chat and maybe even organize some social distancing walk together. And now Lila will tell us about aspects of our work we're most proud of.
Thanks, Daria. So we're really proud of the fact that we were able to plan, develop, and deploy our entire MVP in 2.5 days. Images can be uploaded to AWS, therefore making the app scalable, and the app is deployed, so it's ready to use. Our app bridges a solution between usability on the front end and security and authentication on the back end. We kept in constant communication, jumping into group video calls to update each other each step of the way. We were able to break down features into the smallest possible chunks so that everyone had something to work on and so that we could all work in parallel. And had we had a bit more time, We would have liked to integrate Twilio's API to send text messages to volunteers with contact details of the senior that they matched with. This way, the volunteer could quickly and easily get in contact. In addition to this, when seniors and volunteers match on the site, we would like to present them with suggested activities based on their shared interests. For instance, if the users are both interested in baking, the app would suggest that they share their favorite recipe with each other. Now over to Patrick.
So, how did we do it? We began with an ideation session, laying down our ideas. What could we hack for COVID? We were all drawn towards the Age UK brief, and so a natural team emerged. We quickly set our sails and began to plan. We started by deciding on our tech stack. We wanted to put an emphasis on using technologies that would both be effective, but also familiar to us, in order to maximize our output in our short amount of time. Naturally, we deviated towards Ruby on Rails as our main language and framework, and Heroku to host, Travis CI as our continuous integration service. But our first problem, team of 10, loads of ideas and only one objective. Imagine the old adage, too many cooks can spoil a pot. We knew we needed to split, but how? Who does what? We identified 3 logical split points, the back end, the database deployment, and the front end. For each feature, we would split into these groups before regrouping back to check our progress and to identify the next ticket. Our teams remained the same throughout due to the knowledge we gained in our individual areas. Time is of the essence. Regrouping this morning, we quickly worked to identify the most critical remaining tickets, breaking into our teams to finalize our features before freezing at 11:30. Next, we worked to ensure Heroku was working and the app was live. Looking pretty good, right? And now we're here, sharing this journey with you. Thank you for watching, and please feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome. We might move on to our team 2. So the next group built the product to help key workers access local amenities. So many essential stores have increased their opening hours to help key workers due to the coronavirus. And the next project will see how their project can help them accessing this information easier so that they can help their families and themselves while they're still on the front line fighting the virus. So within the team of 9 that we've got coming up, we've got a range of backgrounds from marketing, community science, investment and more, but let's kick it off and welcome team 2.
Hello everyone, we are the Groceries Group and we'd like to welcome everyone to the Hack for Heroes Makers Hackathon. It has been an amazing and constructive experience. We are so excited to be presenting the app we developed called Key Time, which is gonna help you shop safely during these tough times. Feel free to meet the rest of the team with Sophia. Enjoy and stay safe.
Hello everyone, my name's Sophia and I'd like to introduce the rest of our team. This is a bigger team than we're normally used to working with, but we had a great time. We've got Emily, Ilias, Jason, Hayden, Liz, Josh, Shri, Kenny and myself. And now I'll pass you over to Jason. Josh.
Thanks, Sophia. To address the challenge brief, we built our app, Key Time, in order to help key workers and vulnerable people access the information they need in order to do their grocery shopping safely. The current solutions to this problem that are available freely and to the public are flawed. One can turn to Google to find the grocery stores near them, and they can also find the standard opening hours there, but they can't find the special considerations which the store has made during the COVID-19 health crisis. For instance, special hours allocated to key workers or vulnerable people. So we decided to create an app which puts all the information in one place, help you find stores near you, show you their standard opening hours, and show you the specialized hours which they've allocated. Crucially, it's simple, fast, and easy to use.
So as Sophia and Josh mentioned, we were quite a large team. There were 9 of us in total. So we decided the most efficient use of our time was to split into teams of 3. This allowed us to work on features that that would help us get to the MVP the quickest. We also decided to make a great use of GitHub projects instead of using something like Trello. So we had all the information we needed in one centralized location. This allowed us to iterate on our designs very quickly. And now I will take you over to Emily, who will give you a demo of the app.
Hello everyone, so I'm going to show you through our app here. Here you can see the homepage of the app. When we click go, you can enter the postcode of the area in which you'd like to shop. When you click on the submit button, you can see all the shops around you in your local area. And if you click on the pins in bold, you can see the key special hours that are of use to you and all the hours beneath. This enables you to find all the information really easily in one place.
So no project ever goes perfectly, and we had our own fair share of issues. The first one was operating system conflicts. Windows and Mac OS have a lot of differences, which meant we spent a lot more time trying to put a tech stack together that could be used on both systems. The next one was connectivity issues. It felt like Virgin Media was having outages 24/7. We had a lot of people dropping out of calls, and it was not very helpful. It would have been a lot better if we could have kept people together for longer. And then finally, cores. I don't understand why APIs don't turn this on as a default if they're trying to be an open API. It was really difficult trying to work our way around this, and it made testing like a lot harder locally. But we managed to surpass it. Now I'll pass on to Jason.
Thanks, Aidan. Good afternoon, everyone. So after today, we're going to add a few features to make our prototype even better. At the start, we decided to just focus on one supermarket for now as a proof of concept. We decided on Sainsbury's first because we wanted to admittedly curry favour with Daniel on the judging panel because he works for them. But now we're going to add more supermarkets to accommodate different consumer preferences and add greater search scope value over just the usual Google searching aspect. Second, we wanted to give users the option of using GPS to automatically get their current location rather than having to manually input their postcode. Third, we wanted to use a second API call to indicate how busy each of the nearby supermarkets are so they can go to the currently least crowded supermarket. Finally, we wanted to extend the accessibility even further on our app. For example, adding a text list of the returned supermarkets for those who find it difficult to use the maps, or adding more descriptions so that screen readers can give more output for those users who are visually impaired. Finally, I'm going to pass you on to Liz.
And that's it. We've had a lot of fun trying to pull together an app that could have real value for key workers in just under 2 days. And we've got lots of ideas to keep working on. We'd love if you could check it out for yourselves too, and you can do that at hfhgroceries.herokuapp.com. Thanks for watching.
That's great, amazing work, team. Thanks so much. Cool. So our third team have gone for again another different approach. Obviously, it's a very kind of stressful and serious time at the moment. So they've decided to build a project that gives us all a little bit of respite and allows key workers to have a little bit of fun and enjoy themselves in their downtime. So I'd like to introduce team 3. We have Shabinda, Yara and Cuba. And if you guys could share your screens, please.
Sorry for that little glitch. Right, so this is our app welcome, COVID Runaway, well, a game. So we, it's myself, Kuba and Hara. So we have built this game, having our key workers in mind, something entertaining. And for those obviously that are locked during obviously at home. So we've got what we thought about because of the current global pandemic. We wanted to make a game that is quite inclusive, and obviously it's quite global. So we wanted to consider every gender, every nationality, and every person from every continent. So we've got different doctors. So you see those doctors running away to fight the pandemic and coronavirus. Hara will demonstrate the actual game. So I'll pass on to Hara.
Hello everyone, hope you like the idea behind the app, and in these times we know we are locked down, so we need more than ever a way to have some fun. That's why we decided to adapt one of the most traditional and loved video games of all times, and this is what we got.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Kuba.
No worries.
Yeah. Then we, as you say, this is the beginning screen. We could choose our character. We're gonna go back there because I just died. So it's game over. We go play again. You see, I can choose female and male for now, and then 3 skin tones. Ideally, it would be more. Same for the genders. And then when we click start game, you see our character, how it jumps. There's some virus coming towards him. And basically, it's a jump game. So you just have to avoid being hit by the virus. You see the score gets updated every successful jump we make. And hold on, because when we get to 5 points, level is updated. We got more virus, so it's more difficult, and the background also changed. So now we are in Europe, and about to reach score 10, we are in Africa, and well, I'm very bad at this game, as you can see. So I'm gonna pass it now over to Kuba, and he's gonna speak about the teamwork.
Yep. So regarding teamwork, of course, because of lockdown, we developed all this project remotely, and we've been using Git collaboration, which means we would work on different branches for developing different features to do our project. Before merging to master branch, we would gather around and review our code and discuss our code. And also we've used agile software development methodology, meaning that we had 4-hour sprints, morning mood checkouts, and evening retros, and also morning stand-ups to decide what we're going to work on for this day or for a couple next couple of hours. Mainly because our team was small, just three of us. We would frequently change and swap pairs or work individually if we felt confident enough to do so. And yeah, that's it. That's us. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. That looked really fun. I quite enjoyed that. All right, so our fourth project focuses on mental health. Key workers, they take on the burden of looking after all of us during the lockdown, and so this team has created a platform to ensure that they also have a space and an opportunity to look after themselves. Please welcome Team 4.
Okay, everybody, welcome to this presentation. This is going to be a not very exhaustive breakdown by some, frankly, very exhausted people of our React Pocket Positivity. We built this in React Native and Expo. So before the presentation starts, I would like to encourage every person watching at home to go to your respective app store, download Expo. You can then scan the barcode that's here, or is going to be at the top left of the screen. Through all of our slides. So you can download the app, follow along with us. And I suppose now I'll hand it over to our architect, Basil.
Yeah, thank you. So this was an idea that I've had for a while now, and it was born out of an experiment I did with neurolinguistic programming and the idea of habit formation. Basically, the two main things that I did were I journaled, but journaled very short and concisely. The idea is to encourage more self-reflection in keeping it concise in a way that your future self could actually understand. And the second was the idea of writing down positive affirmations and trying, when remembering, to repeat them back to yourself around 10 to 15 times a day. So I was surprised by how beneficial I actually found this process, and I've been wanting to make an app like this for a while. So this just seemed the perfect opportunity to enact that in a more technological and convenient manner. So this is what we've got. It's a tool to help you help yourself.
Okay, so as a team, the main problem we identified really was the tremendous strain that was put on the key workers' mental health, especially their mental health during this crisis. I think we can all agree that at the best of times, frontline workers are really, under significant pressures in all sorts of areas, let alone during a, unprecedented pandemic. Not only are they supplying, and treating and helping us all, they're often doing this at the expense of their own health, both mentally and physically. So what we did, we researched this topic quite a lot, and we found that actually frontline, key health workers especially, are really far more likely and far more prone to experiencing stress, anxiety, depression, and associated kind of conditions than the rest of the population during these times. And significant research shows that the effects of previous pandemics, such as SARS and the Spanish flu in particular, that effect on mental health, the distress is not limited just to the duration of the outbreak. It actually persists long after the exposure to the victims has actually ceased. So it's not something that is just over when it's over. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be over anytime soon. Therefore, we collectively really thought that addressing this problem, both in the short term, but also continuing it through into the long term, was really important to us. And it kind of binded us as a team and gave us a really solid foundation as to what we wanted to do and what we wanted to achieve. So over to Ben for what can be done.
Thanks, David. Yeah, so what can be done? Well, research has found that as well as the obvious practical measures, such as infection control measures, personal protective equipment, PPE, both proactively identifying those most at risk and developing evidence-based treatment tools are key to mitigating the adverse mental health effects for key workers of the pandemic. More general evidence also suggests that a lot more investment is needed in tools to help people with their mental health. So we hope this is where our app comes in as a highly accessible, non-intrusive solution that's easy for everybody to use to track and stay mindful of their mental health. And Asia's going to give you a rundown of our app in progress.
Yeah, with all this in mind, please let me introduce you to Pocket Positivity, which is available on both Android and iOS. So first of all, the user can log in to the application, giving a username, email, and password. And then that will take you through to our chatbot, which first of all will ask you to log how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 and add any reasons or comments of why your mood could be like that, such as having a bad day at work. So once you've logged your mood, it will then go through the procedural chatbot, which will take you through a step-by-step set of questions about how you're feeling and then suggest different resources that might help you in that case, making things readily available for key workers who are very busy to have things at their fingertips. It will also log all your moods in a chart, giving you overall a day by day of how you felt over the different days. And if you click on any points of the graph, it will tell you any of the comments and how you felt on that day, giving so you can see trends in why you felt that way and how you could maybe combat feeling that in the future. Then we come into the NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming part of it, which will send different mantras via notifications, which you can set to be sent at different times during the day. And these will just reinforce these positive mantras. We have given a few examples, but you are able to add your own mantras.
Cool. So to summarize, the goal is to produce a program to give as much back as possible to the heroes working in the NHS. We manage this by keeping the expectations of the user low while maximizing the possible return. This is done through making the program flexible to allow the user to manage the level of feedback or interaction to fit around the responsibilities without taking away from the amazing work they're doing. In the future, there are several ways that we can upscale this project to offer even more, from providing greater levels of interaction by adding natural language processing to the chatbot, or by giving feedback on a wide range of data points from sleep, eating, and exercise to help expand finding resources for emotional trends, like emotional trends to correct or to celebrate. Thank you for listening. I hope you download the app and benefit from using it. And once again, a big thank you to all the healthcare heroes keeping the country safe. Thank you.
And so we have one final team to close up the presentations today. So our last team wanted to create a project that helps people find areas that are safe. Obviously, one of the key things about the coronavirus pandemic has been social distancing. And so it's really important, especially for key workers and for vulnerable people, to know which areas that they can safely access. So to tell you more about the project, I'd like to introduce team number 5.
Hello and welcome to the presentation of our beautiful app. Is it busy or not? So this is our first hackathon, but the team had a lot of fun working together on it. And let me introduce you to the members of the team. So we have Peter Dean, we have Carla, James, Will, myself, Paolo, Peter, Stephen, and Arjun. So it's quite challenging to manage 2 Peters on a team. There's a nice grab of us having a lot of fun working through the app. I'm now going to hand over to Peter S., who's going to talk a little bit about what we set ourselves to do.
Thank you. With lockdown easing and the recent warm weather, we're going to be outside a lot more, so social distance is still obviously highly important. However, so is keeping physically active. So to make social distancing easier, we've created an app which allows users' journeys to make journeys more efficiently. The user can type in any area to see the level of activity, and then they can use that and decide that if it's safe, if it's worth the travel. I'll now pass you on to Will, who's going to demo our app.
Okay, let me just load up the video. Okay, so firstly, you can see we've rendered a beautiful map to the screen. We then bring up the search box. So the user can search for the location that we'd like to visit. This will then bring back some data to the user, and this is in the form of the tweets, and it is the number of tweets within the kilometer radius of the area that they searched, and it's within the last hour. This then gives the user a good indication of whether it is busy or not in that area. So let's go. So firstly, let's search for Brixton. So it brings us to Brixton, 47 in the last hour. This definitely suggests it's fairly busy, so probably would recommend not visiting this area. Let's go to Bank. Now I did this not during rush hour, so 4 is about right. Now Temple, fairly popular area, so 55, wouldn't recommend. Now lastly, Hyde Park. It's not too sunny, but I still fancy a visit to the park. Let's see, 14, it's probably okay. It's quite a big park. I feel like you'd probably be okay. Now I'm going to pass over to Arjun and Carla. Now they're going to talk about APIs.
Thank you, Will. So APIs were a focal point of our application, and consequently, we required a map API and an API that also provided information on the number of users present in a given area. So for maps, the Google Maps API was one of our initial choices. However, it didn't really mesh with the broader aims of our application. And one of those concerns that came up was the cost for user data. The Google Maps API proved to be a bigger hindrance than we previously anticipated. Ultimately, we opted for a more open source API, open layers, and it worked quite well with the Twitter API, which Carla is going to tell you more about.
Okay, so we also needed to find an API where we could get an indication of how busy a specific location was. And this ended up being quite a challenge for us. So at first we thought we could use the Google API to access this data, but we quickly realized that this data wasn't available to the public. So we had to work out an alternative source. So we next tried the Open Cell ID, which is an API that provides data on cell towers. And at first we thought we'd be able to extract from this the number of mobile phone users near a cell tower. But when we looked more closely at the data, this API didn't provide that sort of data. So we next tried the TFL data API, sorry. We thought we might be able to see how busy stations and car parks and buses and bar spikes were. But again, looking closer at the data, we realized that this API provided average data, which is updated annually. So again, this wasn't going to be what we needed, since we needed the data to be updated in real time. So we eventually decided to use the Twitter API, since we could use this to work out how many tweets had been tweeted from certain locations using the geolocation as a proxy for how busy that area is.
So, having decided on using Twitter, of course, the first thing we wanted to do was make an API call and see how we'd be able to manipulate that data. Unfortunately, much to our annoyance and the annoyance of the authors of many years worth of Stack Overflow comments, the Twitter API does not support CORS requests. This means you can't directly utilize the API from a browser. So we had to change tack a bit. So rather than doing a single page React app, we implemented a Express server, which made all of the Twitter API calls and then communicated that back to the front end of our app.
Thanks, Peter. There are a lot of features we would like to include in our app in the future. The first would be to improve the view of the map by adding a circle around the pinpointed area that changes color based on how busy the area is. This could be expanded to a heat map in the future. To improve the accuracy of the results, we would like to try and integrate more data sources so that it gives us a better indicator of how busy an area is, providing the real-time API location data is publicly available. The Twitter API provides us with a lot of additional data. Through analyzing and implementing more of this into our code, it could be possible to provide filtering options such as showing only unique users or increasing the geolocation radius. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and please feel free to ask any questions.
Thanks, guys. That was really good. All right, so that brings us to the end of our presentations. I'd like to say congrats to all the teams. There's some really incredible ideas there, and a lot of ideas that are sort of shocked that you could get all that done in 2.5 days. But before we get to the results, we've got a few people behind the scenes that are doing a little bit of judging and counting the scores for everyone. And so in the meantime, we'd love to just share some information on how the event was put together. So I'll pass over to Haley.
Cool, thanks, Katie. Yeah, so all of the participants who took part in the hackathon, they all entered as individuals, and they had the basic title of the event being about Hack for Heroes, but aside from that, they didn't really have anything else to go on. And so on day one, we brought the teams together, and we had a big ideation session where people brainstormed a whole lot of different ideas, and they had the ability to kind of be as creative as they wanted to bring project teams together. So after all of the ideas were put out, we formed some teams based on ideas, and then that was really the point that they started going. So even though the event started on Monday, it wasn't really until Monday afternoon that they could, even write their first line of code. One of the, I think, biggest groups of people that we really need to say thank you to, and I'm sure the kind of teams would agree, are the mentors that we had helping out with the teams. As this is the first hackathon for all of our developers today, we wanted to let them work with developers who have a little bit more experience in the industry, who can help them, soundboard their ideas, make sure that they're on track, and really just help them kind of get everything in order for the presentations. So Matthew, Kavita, Elfie, and Luca, thank you all, and also Ben for coordinating the teams. We also have a panel of judges who are kind of busily scribbling down their scores behind the scenes. And I think it really kind of represents how, we've really brought so many aspects of our community together to make this event happen. So thank you to all of our judges. Just as an overview for those of you watching, we have representatives from Beacon, Financial Times, Deliveroo, Matillion, Amazon, Health Unlocked, Zego, Sainsbury's, What 3 Words, Dolphin Dynamics, Department of Education, BBC, Thinketh and Co. God, that one's a tongue twister. And McCann World Group. So thank you to everyone who's kind of given your time to help us put the event together today. So hopefully the last few scores are coming in now. Katie, would you like to share some information about the few more ways that people can get involved with our students?
Yeah, of course. So just before I do that, I just want to say, I guess, one final thank you to everyone that's came and watched today. It's been a crazy time for everyone. And it's great to have the opportunity to bring people from across the tech community together, especially in a positive setting. So a bit more information just about how everyone can get involved. For all the developers that were involved today, they are our Job Ready Makers graduates. And over the next 2 weeks, we would love to welcome anyone who would like to meet any of the developers or discuss working with them. Please to reach out. We're running a remote mixer event over the next few weeks that we would love anyone to get involved with. So reach out to either anyone within Makers or through our website. And there's also one date that I'd love to let you guys all know about. We've got our next event is on June 25th. It's an event discussing how you can use your apprenticeship levy with Makers, and a few new ways of how you can make hiring easier and more cost effective through coronavirus. So again, we'll send some details out after this with some more information, but feel free to reach out if there are any questions. So that's all from me. So, and I believe it's now time to reveal the winner.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Katie. Just checking the scores from the judges, I think we have the final few scores coming in. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna maybe ask some of the teams to come through. Maybe starting with team one, we just have a couple of questions that it'd be great if you could answer. Team one, if you could just tell us a little bit about how have you found your first hackathon, and obviously working in a team that's a lot bigger than what you've worked, the team size you've worked in during Makers.
Sorry, can you say that question again? I just missed it.
Sorry about that. So how have you found your first hackathon? And obviously the team is a lot bigger than the team size you're used to working in. So how's that been for you?
That certainly was a big challenge. That was a thing we worried about a lot. And as you saw in the slides, we sort of tried to split stuff up. But it actually worked really well because we were communicating well and making sure that if there's any sort of things that were going to stop us, like bottlenecks, we'd make sure those were solved before going on to maybe less important features. So it worked really well, but 10 was a lot at the start. We actually ended up with 7 because some people ended up having to go to interviews. But yeah, it's a lot of people.
That's understandable. Thanks so much, David. And from team 2, do you have any comments on your first hack? Were there any kind of challenges that came up that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, it was a fantastic experience. I think the whole team would agree. Like David just mentioned, one of the biggest challenges was just the team is of a size where you're not going to have complete visibility over the whole code base, which is unique to us in our experience at Makers, because the teams have always been small enough that you can kind of pop in and out of the different areas and have some sense of what's going on everywhere, or at least that's how my experience was. So it was definitely a challenge, but a real learning experience. In terms of what maybe the biggest challenges was, I would say the different operating systems. It's the first time that we had teammates who were not on the same physical machine. So it included Windows machines. I got to spend a half a day learning about Ubuntu subsystems on Windows machines, which was really cool, something I didn't get to do in Makers. But yeah, all in all, it was a fantastic experience. Thank you very much, my team, and to everyone else who participated. Great job, guys.
Cool, that's great. Thank you so much. I'm going to move on to team 3 now as well. I think you guys had probably the opposite end of the spectrum. A lot of the other teams were, 7s and 8s. How did you guys find it as a team of just the 3 of you?
Well, I can answer if you don't mind, guys. I think it has good things and bad things altogether. Like, of course, we are less people, so more work. but then it's also much easier to communicate and to stay in touch than with a bigger group. So yeah, like taking the challenge that none of us had done a game ever. But I think it was like much easier to communicate in a smaller group, and the merging parties with the branches were kind of easier, just reviewing the code from 3 different persons.
I would love to add to that. It's like also the hackathon provided that pressure where we had to choose a specific stack or a specific sort of technology, and that helped us to sort of narrow it down, and we all agreed. And because we were a smaller team, I think we were more agile in making our decisions in terms of what we wanted to do, and we discussed it much faster rather than obviously having like way many conflicts. So it's good. Really enjoyed it.
Cool, thank you, Team 3. Team 4, I wanted to ask you, what was the kind of inspiration behind your project? Was it one of you who led with the idea, or was it like a combination of a few things?
Well, it was both, I think. It was originally an idea that I had, like I said before, from an experiment that I did with myself. But especially with the additional features, everyone really just got on board, and it became a really great working environment where everyone was contributing. And obviously we've still got a lot of ideas that we'd like to add, down the pipeline. So it was just, everyone worked really great, just took advantage of the remote multiple Zooms everywhere. People can just drop in and out, and yeah, same as everyone else, a lot of a lack of sleep. I think someone else from my team as well had something to add.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I just like to say, it was just great team cohesion. We all were quite unanimous in our goal and what we wanted to do. And actually, Basil initially, he really wanted to make this app. None of us have used React Native. A few of us have loosely kind of played with React since graduating, but we just kind of went all in, and it was just great. It was like a really good learning experience. Everyone just chipped in. I learned so much in these 2 days alone. Yeah, shout out to the team, really, really good.
That's really great. Thank you, guys. And finally, Team 5, how was your kind of experience of working together? Obviously, it's kind of high pressure to build the whole thing in kind of 2 to 3 days. How do you think your group handled that?
Yeah, so I think we handled it pretty well. About 3/4 of the group had no React experience at all, which made it interesting choosing React as the basis for a hackathon challenge. But we spent most of the first day planning, and I think had a good solid idea of what we were trying to get to at that point. So even though we were 7 people, we could still be fairly productive and work fairly independently in pairs or threes.
That sounds great. Thanks.
Yeah.
So would you guys mind muting your microphones? I think there's just like a little bit of a background noise being picked up. Lovely, thank you. Cool. So that brings us to the end of the presentations. I think it's great that we've kind of had a little bit of a chance to meet the teams and kind of find out a bit more about their experience as well. We have the results in, so I'd like to introduce one of our judges, Vicky Wills, to join me. If you could turn on your camera and microphone, Vicky, that would be great. Vicky is the Senior Director of Engineering at Zego, and she's going to be announcing scores for us.
Cool. Thanks, Hayley. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, thanks.
Perfect. Well, firstly, I'd like to say congratulations to all the teams. I have been in hackathons myself, and putting together these sorts of projects in such a short space of time is challenging at the best of times. I can't imagine what it was like doing it remotely. So really, really well done. The breadth of ideas and some of the creativity in there was absolutely fantastic. And it's just great to see this sort of thing happening. We're all, holed up in bedrooms and kitchens and at dining tables, all working away at the moment. So yeah, it's been a fantastic afternoon seeing the work you've put in. So without further ado, I've been given the scores. I have to say, I've been told that it was very, very close between all the projects. So congratulations to you all. I'm not surprised to see the scores so close. I'm delighted to announce that in first place, we've got Pocket Positivity. And coming up, a close runner-up, we have the Age UK team. So well done to both teams. Fantastic work.
Well, thank you so much, Vicky. If the team from Pocket Positivity would like to turn your mics and cameras on for a second, how are you feeling, team? Is there anything that you'd like to say at all?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. It's been a pleasure working with everyone, and yeah, we're really proud of it. So it's great to hear good feedback from it as well.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you also for putting this on and arranging this. It was a really
Yeah.
good opportunity for us to showcase and to learn at the same time. So thank you very much for the opportunity and the team.
And also, well done, guys.
Yeah, shout out to everyone. So
Love
good. So good. Thank you.
So well done, team. We'll let you know how to claim your prize after the call. So as a final message from me and Katie, I think we just want to say thanks to everyone who's joined in with this event in any capacity. Really, really great work to all of the makers who have taken part. It's insane to see that you've produced these whole projects in like 2 days. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, well done. And if anyone watching wants to hear about how to work a little bit more with our developers, then we'll send you information afterwards. Cool, thanks everyone. We'll see you later, bye.
Thank you.
Really great for this today.